How come CrossFitters are so swole if they're doing everything wrong? The other day on my Instagram, I shared the results of a new meta-analysis showing that high-intensity interval training produces a worse interference effect with muscle growth than traditional low-intensity steady-state cardio. Now, CrossFitters do a lot of high-intensity interval type training, so the number one question that I got is, okay, how come CrossFitters are so jacked then, if you're saying there is an interference effect? Well, an interference effect, of course, doesn't kill your gains completely, but according to this analysis and multiple other studies, it does in fact reduce muscle growth, especially when, like in a CrossFit session, you're doing the cardio, essentially the endurance training, within the same session as the strength work that you're doing. This is like pulling your body into two opposite directions along the strength endurance continuum, and that has partially mutually exclusive adaptations in the body. And that's not the only thing CrossFitters do wrong, at least in terms of building muscle growth. And of course you have to realize that CrossFit's goal is not to build muscle. CrossFit's goal is to get you better at CrossFit, which is a different thing. It's not bodybuilding. So that they're doing things wrong from a bodybuilding perspective, but that doesn't mean that they're wrong for a sport of CrossFit itself, which is for CrossFitters of course much more important. But from a bodybuilding point of view, what they also do wrong is that they do a lot of power work, which is not ideal for muscle growth. They do a lot of cardio, as I said, which is also not ideal for muscle growth generally. And they also do very little exercise that enhances the eccentric muscle contractions, which is where you're stronger and the muscles can produce more mechanical tension, which is where you can build most muscle because of the higher mechanical tension that you can impose on the muscle fibers. With all of these things and the general program design not being optimized for muscle growth, how come that if you look at these CrossFitters, they're all so big? Well, first of all, they're not. Like, what most people are doing is they're looking at the top 10 in the world, the people that scored at the top 10 in the games, typically, Rich Froning, those types of guys and girls, and then they're comparing them to, say, the average gym goer. And that's a completely unfair comparison, of course. If you look at the average CrossFit gym, like you go to an average CrossFit box and then compare that to the average bodybuilding gym. Now, who is bigger? Like in the average gym, how many people do you see that are like really big? In the bodybuilding gym, they are typically going to be a lot bigger. Now, of course, this also doesn't mean anything. Most people have a very skewed perception of like what CrossFit will do for your physique because they're looking at the top 10 of the world. And when you're looking at the top 10 of the world, you have to realize that A, they have elite genetics in all sports. That will be true. Any popular sports that's practiced by many, many people, when you get the best of the best of the best, then those people will have a genetic advantage almost universally. Not only that, but in CrossFit, in pretty much any elite sport, reality check, they are doped. They are on performance enhancing drugs. And CrossFit's drug testing also isn't exactly known for its state-of-the-art management. So it's not like, I think Major League Baseball, for example, has really good drug testing, but even there, it's clear that there are still lots of athletes that are doped. The incentives are simply too great, and it provides such a big competitive advantage, and it's not that hard to do, honestly, to get people into the games when they're doped or when they were doped and they're just clean at that specific moment in time, that of course most people are going to do it. Just get the top 10 athletes in the world at CrossFit, or ones that you're interested in. If you're like, you look at someone's physique, you're like, I want to look like that. Take their stats, put them into the calculator on my website. I have a fat-free mass calculator, and it provides you with the percentage of the population that could achieve this physique naturally. Now, if you get, say, 1%, that is, of course, a suggestion that that individual is not natural because 99% of the population could not achieve that level of muscularity naturally. It doesn't mean that individual is doped. We'll never know. Only that individual, and typically will know this, so we get hard evidence of some kind. But of course, it provides an indication that when you do this for all the top 10, you'll see that at least 9 out of 10 are beyond the limits of what most people can achieve naturally. You know, maybe they are not natural. That's not the only reasons. It's not just, okay, those are the genetic elite, they're drugged, that's why they're jacked, and CrossFit's actually super bad at building muscle. CrossFit is not super bad at building muscle. It's much better than bicycling, running, tennis. You know, it's still a strength sport. They're doing a lot of resistance training. And what CrossFitters are doing well is many of the most important fundamental things. They get the basics right. They train very hard. Most CrossFitters, the whole culture of CrossFit is very much about training hard, even to the point of injury, sucking it up, no pain, no gain, that mentality. In most average gyms, people really don't train that hard. I mean, they're on their phone, doing leg extensions at the same time. You know, you can easily see that most people don't get the result they want because they're simply not training very hard. Most CrossFitters, I would say, train harder than the average individual. So they get that right. They do heavy strength training, they train hard, maybe they don't do the optimal type of exercise, but they're doing it with maximal effort. And they typically also consume a whole foods-based diet. It's part of the whole CrossFit vibe to consume like a paleo diet, and they have relatedness, to quote something from my book about why CrossFit is so successful. They really create an atmosphere where the diet is more than just something you have to eat to get abs for the summer. The diet is part of their lifestyle. So that really fosters diet adherence, and typically means that they are on a high protein diet of high quality foods. So high quality foods, high protein diet, training hard, doing strength training, they're getting the basics right. And then there will be, of course, individuals with good genetics, and especially those that are also juicing, that are then going to look amazing. And that's the simple reason that we see CrossFitters that look like they could go on a bodybuilding stage. And in fact, if you look at their statistics, many of them pretty much could. They have to lean down a little bit further, but yes, and we also see those in baseball, in rugby, in powerlifting, in strongman. We see in a lot of sports, even some tennis players and the like are really jacked. We see that in a lot of sports that the exceptions to the rule actually look great, but the average individual, not so much. And if you do just that sport for the purpose of bodybuilding, then you're simply doing the wrong sport. If you want to get better at CrossFit, you do CrossFit. If you want to get better at bodybuilding, you do bodybuilding, right? That's basically the gist of it. So that's why we see CrossFitters with such great physiques, despite CrossFit not being ideal for muscle growth.